Hello, welcome to Walsall United WFC.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, whichever it is. I can never get that the right way round on this bank holiday Friday. So we're not going to keep you guys too long today. But as I put on the tweet earlier, get a drink. If you're relaxing outside right now, put us on your phone. Just lie back and enjoy the show. So it's going to be a good one today. We've got plenty to cover. Obviously, Casey Stoney's recent comments, some interesting things there about United. Discuss obviously Russo and Zellam's double award-winning month for last month as well. I know that was obviously announced on the 7th of April, but we'll briefly discuss that because we saw the pictures on Twitter earlier. And also, we're going to get our early Player of the Season nominations in. So the panel are going to pick their 2 nominations for the season. So I'll explain all of the details and all of the rules and everything like that a bit later. But let's see how everybody is first, because it's a warm one today. So we're not going to be inside for too long. But Barry, good to have you back on. I think this is your third show of the week.
I've lost count. I'm just sleeping in the office at the moment, if I'm honest with you. So, but yeah, not too bad at all. Pleased to help out where I can.
Nice one. And Andrew, I think this is your second show or third show of the week. I can't remember. I lose track.
I'm lost track as well now. I'm all good. Enjoying the start of the long bank holiday weekend. Hopefully, the United men can cheer me up tomorrow if we do beat Norwich.
Fingers crossed. I wouldn't be counting on that though, if I'm being totally honest. And John, welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me back. It's if you include the men's channel, it's my third show in 3 days. So it's good to be back on after a while.
See, nobody can doubt your commitment to all for United. So you're back on.
Yes.
We'll get straight into it then. We'll talk about the Casey interview first. It wasn't all about United. There were just some questions in there that obviously related to United, hence the talking points. I don't know how many. I hope some of you have seen some of the comments. Otherwise, this could be a very short discussion. I'll just go around the house first and then get your kind of initial reactions to it before we break down. I've got 2 things in particular that she said. But Barry, your kind of initial thoughts on just being asked about United, because I think I said before the show, this isn't us looking back. None of us are sat here going, we want Casey back. That's not the case. The reason we're talking about it obviously is because she spoke about United. But I also think no matter who takes United forward, she is always going to be the first. So I can see why that she gets asked these questions. But what's your kind of initial thoughts? And were there any standout things that she said?
I don't think it was really all that bad, if I'm brutally honest. I think that the disrespect, if anything, sort of comes from the interview, which it shocked me, was obviously Siobhan Chamberlain, wasn't it? It was answering the questions. So I found that quite interesting in itself. But no, I didn't think that she necessarily said anything out of order when she was asked whether or not she would take any credit of us finishing third. She quite clearly said no. It's not any credit for her to take, which I think was the right answer under the circumstances. She might have done well to have mentioned Mark Skinner. It's a bit odd that she didn't. But I thought she was quite complimentary actually about us as a club, about the fans. She said how much we have a big part in her life. So, I don't sit here and necessarily feel like she said anything particularly out of order. And yeah, if I'm brutally honest, as you just said, she is the first. She was the one who helped lay the foundations, helped us get up into the WSL as it is. So, yeah, I'm struggling really to find anything that was too disrespectful there from young Casey.
Yeah, go on, Andrew. Same question for yourself. Was there any kind of standout things for you? And like me and Barry have just said there, she's always going to get these questions, isn't she? Because she was the first.
I was going to say I wasn't surprised Casey was asked about United. Obviously, she's with San Diego now, and I just thought, well, we're coming to the end of the WSL season, so and United are in the hunt for the Champions League, and obviously she was our first manager, so you kind of goes with the territory. She's going to be asked about her former club, but I don't think there's nothing of much surprise that she said. Obviously, she said it was bittersweet to watch the players that she worked with before, that getting to see her then come out at Old Trafford in front of the fans. Obviously, Casey got to manage United at Old Trafford, but at the time, no fans inside. So she said it was a bittersweet moment. So it would have been nice for Casey if she'd have been able to manage a team with the fans inside Old Trafford. But I think, as she said, every time she sees United players performing well, she's saying taking pride in their development, and say she has been a part of that. And say, I know she says, I don't want to take credit for it, but she's been a part of that development. So I think maybe a smidgen, she could, deep down, she can take a bit of credit for the work she has left done, and it's then been taken up by Mark Skinner. But I think the one comment she stood out for me where she said, I have no regrets, and like a time when it came to an end, she said, look, it was the right decision. And say, I know there was reports of like tension behind the scenes, issues with like the training facilities, but I just think you're more likely to, in this, you regret more things you don't than rather than you do. And when Casey made that decision to leave, she thought at the time, this is the right thing for me to do, and move on. And obviously, so I wish her all the success with San Diego as well. So maybe one day she might come back to United or manage another team in the WSL. We'll have to see what the future holds.
Yeah, 100%. And just before we dissect it a little bit more, John, was there anything that kind of stood out for you from this interview?
Yeah, but I think the 2 points that Barry and Andy mentioned, I think the thing about, that obviously nice to have a chance to talk to. She didn't mention Mark Skinner, and you got to understand that, yeah, she did. If we do manage to get Toffee, then she has built this team. It is a bit odd. She didn't mention Mark. Obviously, she's. But it's interesting if we do somehow manage to get Toffee. Obviously, Mark would have achieved something which she didn't quite achieve when she was manager. But also, I think probably the one that caught me, what Andy mentioned, was when she said I had no regrets. When they asked that question, I did detect a bit of a pause. I think, and you have to remember, she is a manager at San Diego now. She's on a contract, and she's not going to say, yes, I have regrets. But I think the way that it ended, she will have some regrets about the way it ended, because it wasn't exactly rosy, was it? So I think she will be a little bit hurt by that, I would have thought. But obviously she's not going to say it's the camera. But overall, she did. It was a good interview from her, and obviously we got to move forwards. But obviously she laid the foundations for this team, and hopefully Mark Skinner will hopefully progress it further over the next year or two.
Yeah, definitely. The first point, I wasn't actually going to mention this, but the first point, I think you've all said it now, so I am going to talk about it. And it is something that I picked up on almost straight away when I read the quotes, and I actually watched the interview back, that when she got asked, about will this United team make it into the top three, and she was saying, they've got every chance, and she got asked, will she take any credit? And she said, no, all of the credit should go to the players, because they're an incredible group of women, I think was the exact quote. Barry, I'll come to you first then. Not a single mention of Skinner throughout all of this. Am I reading too much into that? Or do you think, I'm not expecting to come out and go, yep, Skinner's amazing, what a great job he's doing. But the fact that he wasn't mentioned at all is a little bit strange to me.
I mean, I'd say, why not? Why wouldn't she come out and say, yeah, he's doing a great job? I think, she doesn't lose any, manager points because she turned around and said that the person that's replaced her was any better. Let's be clear, when she left, from my understanding of it, although we know that there probably was lots going on behind the scenes, and John, I think, is quite right to say that it wasn't rosy when she left at all. Publicly, it didn't seem as acrimonious. She was, I've taken them as far as I can take them. I wish them well. And it's always been quite positive publicly. So, no, I don't think you're reading into it too much at all. I think actually the omission of Mark Skinner's name, I thought, was a bit harsh. And if there was anything that I was going to pick her up on, it would be that 100%, because he has done a good job. Whether or not she just doesn't want to admit that somebody else might take United to the promised land that she couldn't quite get them to, I don't know. But, listen, we're always going to be proud of Casey and everything that she did for us. But no, I think you need to put Mark's name on it when we talk about this group of girls, because she's right in what she says. The girls are amazing. They've been superb. They play great football. They've entertained us all for the year. And look at us, 3 games in, and we're in that position where we're still in with something to play for. We're not doing a sort of an Aston Villa or a Spurs where really there's not much more to go for. We've got a real chance. So no, for me, I think that was the only thing that I would say was out of order.
Andrew, where do you kind of stand on that then? Because it is strange to me, because I've said it repeatedly now that for us to get Champions League, we've got to beat a team that we never have away from home, being Chelsea on the last game of the season, to achieve something that we never have as a club, obviously on the women's side. So the fact that Skinner maybe wasn't, I don't know, I kind of side halfway between what Barry was saying and somewhere in the middle. So where do you sit on this one?
It's sort of a difficult. I can sort of see why Casey didn't mention Skinner's name, because obviously she has a bit more loyalty to the United players that she's worked with. Obviously, I don't know whether she knows Mark Skinner on a personal level or just crossing paths. Being coaches. I don't know. Say not sense of that loyalty there to Mark Skinner. So it's a bit. I can see why she just focused on the players. She said, She says, I want the players to be successful, and every time she sees them play, she wants them to perform well. So it's a tricky one. Yeah, if she'd have mentioned him, then it's like, well, they'd all be picking up on that comment as well. But I think she mentioned, well, Mark Skinner's had to come in and say, implement his own ideas. He can just say, oh, we're going to do the same as before, because Mike Skinner is his own person. He has his own ideas, thoughts, how he wants to play. So I can see why Casey sort of didn't mention him, because you don't want to be. She made a comment about Mark Skinner, saying, if you said, you could have done something like this in one of the games, or it's like sort of been, say, criticising in a way. But I think we're saying getting for a Champions League, so it's in our own hands at the moment. Skinner said it. We've just got to take each game as it comes until the end of the season, and then at the end of the season, at the end of the last game of the season, then we'll worry about what City are doing, whether they win by goal difference or get into that spot. We just worry about ourselves. So I'm sort of on the fence. I'm sort of I'm not. I'm not surprised she didn't mention him, or if she had or not. So it's and obviously his name, Siobhan Chapman, who was interviewed, didn't sort of mention Skinner's name either. So she didn't bring it up anyway. So it was just more about the players, really.
Before I come to you, John, Nat's put an interesting point. Obviously, firstly, don't care about Casey. She walked out and left. I do agree, to be fair. I said this at the start of the show, that this is not about looking back, and none of us are sat here saying that we miss her in charge and that she should be in charge now. But one comment that Nat's just put in there, talking about Alex Greenwood, did the same. Obviously walked at a time when you could argue that needed them most. I'll come to you first on that, John, then we'll kind of go around the house on that one. Obviously, she said no regrets in her interview, and obviously that's on the thumbnail there. Nat's kind of comparing it there to Greenwood. As you know, in ground, she gets slaughtered by us. So where do you kind of stand on that one then?
Yeah, but I think I can understand that point that unfortunately she did quit when the going got tough. Because obviously we were flying at the start of last season, where I think we were top at Christmas, weren't we? And then we just capitulated, and that's when the noise in the background started. About the facilities, that kind of thing. Casey was given a couple of options where to train, and that I'm led to believe. But I just think that, she did quit and the going got tough. She probably felt that she took the team as far as she could have done. I think Skinner, interestingly, obviously mean, we've discussed like, in the top 3 goal difference will have an impact, that kind of thing. But we haven't capitulated this season. So in many ways, this is the best we've ever been. I know we've still got a way to go, but we're very competitive, and we do have a chance to top 3 compared to last season when we just took a nosedive second half of the season. But I do, in regards to whether not mentioning Skinner's name, as I mentioned in my first comment, maybe if he was to get top 3, there would be a little bit of jealousy that he managed to do something in his first season, which he never managed to do, potentially. And, potentially, I'm not saying it's definite, but it could be. But just so regards a lot of those players as us, maybe, obviously, Galton's been very open about the support she gave her. It took her a bit of time this season to get used to Skinner, but second half this season she has developed, and basically I do think there is an element she did quit at the toughest moments, and we had to, and you do have to give credit to Skinner in terms of like the confidence of the team by the end of last season had gone. And for Skinner to take over in difficult circumstances and allowed us to be competitive this season, you can't underestimate the job he's actually done. If we were in this position at the start of the season, we would have taken it. I personally believe so. To not mention the work Skinner has done, he took over a team which was void of confidence after last season. So to make us competitive this season, bring some of his own players in which have improved the team, we're now in a better place. But obviously we'll wait and see what happens between now and the end of the season.
So just the last point's kind of on this then. I'll come to everyone's closing thing. Let's before we move on to obviously the 2 award winners for last month. Barry, I'll come to you first on this one then. Should interviewers maybe, I know this wasn't about United, this particular interview, there was just a segment of it. Do you think that Casey's always going to get this, or do you think that the questions need to be moved on now? Stop asking her about United, and that kind of thing, and the questions should be more catered to Manchester United. I'm not too sure where I'm going with this, but do you know what I mean? Like the questions maybe stop. On the men's side, you don't see David Moyes constantly being asked, about Manchester United. But I think maybe this is slightly different because she was the first, and it is quite recent still.
Yeah, it's very recent, isn't it? I mean, David Moyes obviously was a long time ago, and although the media may not necessarily ask him the questions, he's still very much linked to that. I saw lots of people praising him and seeing things such as how to rebuild your reputation now that he's made it to the European semi-final West Ham. People are always going to be linked with what happened before. I think this says a lot more, if I'm honest, about journalism in this country than it does about the managers. There's lots going on in the men's game at the moment with these questions that are being asked to Ten Hag while he's still at Ajax. And I think it just comes down to that. Everyone's desperate to be the person that gets that headline or gets that quote that somebody else hasn't. But let's be honest, there's one thing we've learned over these last couple of years is that the questioning of the British journalists requires a lot to be done. We've seen it in football, we've seen it in COVID and politics and everything that's there. It's ridiculous. It's like it would be the equivalent of you asking me a question and then coming back round to me and asking me the same question again. I don't know what more you want me to say. I've given you my answer. And I think Casey will eventually feel like that. But I think she should be linked with it because she did do great things for the club. We can't, again, we can't just discount what she did and the foundations that she laid. A lot of the players that are playing for us now played under Casey. We just gave Elatuna 100 appearances. Katie Zellum, unless she is miraculously sold during the summer, will make 100 next season. Even Kirsty Hansen's not a million miles off of that particular milestone. All 3 of them came under Casey Stoney. So, yes, she is always going to be linked with it. But I think you've got to put a bit more respect onto Skinner's name now, if I'm honest with you, because he had lots of questions at him at the beginning of the year. And quite frankly, I think he's proven quite a few people wrong. So I think, yes, thank you, Casey. We're pleased with what you've done. And yes, it's always nice to hear positive things coming from people that have played from us before. But in a way, I agree with Nat. At the end of the day, she's gone. I was there when I saw some the slaughtering that Alex Greenwood got in one of the Man City games. So, yeah, look, we don't need her anymore. It's just, we like to plug at the heartstrings, don't we? So, Amy Turner left as well, and I don't see people being quite so negative towards her, but maybe that's because it's a long way to shout. I don't know. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts. God bless your case, but let's move on.
Like you say that, they're both over in the States, same distance, but yeah, I kind of sit somewhere on this. Andrew, John, I'll let you two kind of wrap up on this one. And Andrew, yourself, where do you stand on this? Should we be moving on now and stop with the questions? Because as Barry said, I think she said all she needs to say now. She doesn't need to be constantly asked about this.
I think she pretty much said it when she said that. We should be left where she said, I have no regrets about leaving. She said it was the right time, obviously. I think at the time when Casey was like, the issues with the training facilities, I think United were unwilling to, accommodate, the women's team at Carrington full time, and then that got changed, and then the players were like not happy too. And obviously in that season we were chasing for the Champions League, and it also, even for the at one point that Christmas we were at the top of the league, and it all fell away. And I don't know whether Casey, the situation that was happening, the training, and she was asking for things from those above her, and they just weren't forthcoming. And she's like, "Well, I'm trying to do a job here to the best of my ability, and I'm not getting the tools that I need." And she's probably thinking, "Well, I've made the decision; it's the right one for me. That I need to be, moving on now." So, and obviously, can't knock her achievement. She's had as our first United women's manager, obviously. Winning the championship, and then the fourth place finishes. So it was always like with Casey, that 5-year plan where we wanted to be, and we've sort of on our way with that, and now Skinner's took over. Now we just need to go to that extra level, and hopefully Skinner can add that final touch with the players, getting us over the line, and then come the end of the season we'll be celebrating their Champions League qualifications. So I'm just on the point of Alex Greenwood. Obviously she gets booed by us, but that's because she went from we're playing for City, but she's also played for Liverpool and Everton, so she's played for 2 Manchester clubs, and Liverpool and Everton, cool, she's gonna get booed, and it's all pantomime. It's nothing. Even I think Alex Greenwood said in an interview, I don't know if it was Sky or BBC, she said, I would expect nothing less. She's like, it's like, yeah, so players can expect when they've, you go back to their form team, some will be cheered, some will be booed. It's because of the fact she plays for Man City. It's just like she's going to get booed. So, but she's I don't think she's going to lose any sleep over it.
Oh yes, she will.
That's terrible. You're so quick with these, Barry. You know that. It's oh dear. I'm always reminded of West Ham away. If anyone was there, you'd know what I'm about to say. But West Ham away, when I think it was Nat started chanting, "We can see you sneaking out." Because there's a couple of West Ham fans sneaking out, and as soon as we did that, there was a woman walking past us in like a camouflage jacket. And of course, Barry then shouts, "Oh, well, we can't see her," or whatever you shouted. I can't remember exactly what it was, but you do crack me up at games. You're very quick, but it keeps us laughing. That's the main thing. John, go on then. You have the final word on this before we move on to Zellum and Russo. But you think we should be moving on now and stop with these questions to her?
Oh yeah, but I mean, she's employed in America now. That's where she's living now, and yeah, maybe she'll come back to the English game in the future. But yeah, where Skinner's guy's team, it's his first season. I think come next season, especially if we were to finish in Champions League play, so we will move forward to that, and soon we might be talking about Skinner and his legacy, hopefully with a build up, with a positive one. But yeah, she obviously did a good job, Casey. But yeah, she did good overall. But we want to reach the next level, and whether that may be, we'll remember Casey, as a case note or something, but then hopefully in the future, next few years, we'll be talking about getting in the Champions League, winning trophies and that. So, yeah, let's move forwards.
Yeah, 100%. And talk about up to date news. This happened a week ago. What we're about to discuss next, so we're not straight on it on this one. But I thought it was worth mentioning because I think we all saw it on Twitter that obviously Man United put the picture of Zellum and Russo holding their awards together. Not the first time we've had double awards this season, and it's actually quite good this season how many awards we've racked up. I don't actually know the official stat off the top of my head, but I know Skinner's obviously won a few. We've had a few other players win some as well this season, so that's good to see. I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement, unless someone's going to throw an outrageous claim out there that both were deserved, unless someone's going to completely throw me off and say one of them didn't deserve it. But we'll just go around the house briefly and talk about that before we get on to our last topic and discuss some early player of the season shouts. Barry, yourself, both deserved, and obviously Russo, firstly, obviously had that game at Old Trafford, completely stole the show, obviously at Old Trafford, and Zellum with the double corner. You could take your pick of either of them, for goal of the month as well. I mean, they chose the second one, which was the better one for me in terms of technique. But yeah, both deserved, and it's good to see, isn't it, that we've got more awards to stack up for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've mentioned over the course of all of the shows that I've been on for this last week what we need from the United players over these next 3 games, and I think the fact that we've got those awards that have gone out across various girls and various different types, whether it be player of the month or goal of the month, can only be a good thing. I think looking at someone like Russo, she's been amazing this season. I'm sure we're going to get onto that in the next topic as well. But she really has. She's the 3rd highest goal scorer in the WSL at the moment, behind just Mida Moore and Kurt. So when you're saying you want to have a striker who is going to score you goals and who's going to be up there towards the end of the season, she's absolutely done that. So I think she 100% deserved it. She was superb at Old Trafford. She's had some great games this season. And particularly last month as well. She was on the score sheet quite a few times. So, yeah, 100% Russo deserved it. I'm bored of arguing with people on Twitter with regards to whether Katie Zellum meant it or not. I found it hilarious that we were watching some geezer from South America or an American team. He does because he hits with the outside of his foot, because he does it on the side that Katie Zellum can't do it from. All of a sudden it was like, oh wow, that's the best goal I've ever seen. And then you start posting, well, she did this 3 times, and like, oh yeah, but that's so easy to do because so many people do it. Like 3 times in 2 games, with 2 coming 5 minutes away from each other. It's honestly, it's ridiculous.
It was an accident, Barry. It was an accident.
3 lucky accidents. How on earth? Honestly, she's the luckiest woman I know. So yeah, Alessia Russo, most deserved. Katie Zellum, what a lucky girl she is.
I'm with you on this. You can't fluke it that many times. I'm sorry, it's just ridiculous. And we know from people and players in and around United that is something they've worked on. So it's
what is it? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, or shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me, same thing with scoring 3 times, isn't it? Score 3 times, you must just be a legend.
Exactly, and there's been a couple after that as well that have not been too far away. I don't know we'll be seeing the end of those. Andrew, for yourself, then both deserved. Hang on a minute, I'm getting the blame for it here. It's not off my mic, Paul. It's my trusty panelist Barry over there that you're getting the echo off.
Trying to mic, sorry.
See, there you go. And just quickly on Sam's point, we've gone up. I think we got a rating of a 5 last week. It must be John. John's hairline is helping bring the score up a little bit. It's certainly not going to be mine. I think mine's bringing the average down a little bit. We're not doing too bad on that front. But Andrew, for yourself, they're both deserved. And as Barry said there, surely that the Katie goal that obviously was nominated. It's not a fluke, is it?
Definitely not a fluke, and it's definitely well deserved for both players. And I think I'm more pleased for Katie Zellum as well. I mean, she's been so instrumental in the last few months in our charge for the Champions League qualification, but also I just think she's been one of our best players. I just think the criticism she had like a while back was just, I think some of it was just undeserved, and I just think, you know, her form and these goals that she scored is sort of like saying, yeah, I'm leading this team to leading this team on. I think she said with the City goal, I think she just said, I was just aiming for the back post and then letting the girls attack it. And then she then thought, I think the Leicester game, I thought I'll try this again. And then I think she said, I should start practicing these earlier. So I think, and then I think she said about the Reading game, she said, I think they clocked onto what I was doing and put the tallest player at the back post, trying to think, so she might have to try a different technique, you know, in the upcoming games. So say the opposition might try and work it out pretty quick, but no, definitely for Katie, I'm really, really pleased, and so, you know, 3 excellent goals. So our corner specialist, and also for Russo as well. I think Skinner was mentioning when she had won the award about, you know, her ability to strike the ball. And say we can all vouch for that when they're warming up. The amount of balls that are coming straight over the goal and the power behind them is like, you literally want to get out of the way because they can hurt. So, but yeah, I mean, Russo's just having a fine season. I mean, let's say back at the start of the season, they deliberately didn't push her straight in because obviously she's working her way back from that injury, and she didn't really start to get, you know, going until like the October onwards. So it's just, yeah, and I think it's like, was it in the last month? It's 4 goals in 4 appearances. I think that was the stat I read the other day. So, and I mean, so hopefully she's scoring a few more goals in the last set of games that we've got, and say hopefully being the top scorer in the league as well. So be good to see as well.
And John, for yourself, I know you're a big Russo fan as well, so I'm sure you're not going to disagree with the fact that she got another award to her name as well. But are you in agreement with Barry and Andrew? Both deserved?
Oh yeah. I think they both deserve it. I mean, Zellum, you know, those corner goals, clearly she was aiming for the Barmy Army and the wind took it in or something. You know, it was a complete accident, that really mess. But no, she deserves it. She also got that penalty, the important goal at Old Trafford to put her head in that. As for Russo, I think she scored 4 goals in March. I think obviously the got one against Leicester, if I remember rightly. She played that brilliant through ball to Bolton, didn't she, at Reading, and also she scored that brilliant goal at Reading after owners didn't count, so it was good of her supporting. And then obviously the 2 big goals she scored at Old Trafford. You know, she really deserved the man of the match in that game. So yeah, for me, they thoroughly deserve the 2 players of the month. But I think Galton also will mention for 2 goals at Reading as well, which were important. So but overall, they deserve their award.
100%. And speaking of award, we're going to move on to our last topic, which has led us into a bit of an idea. So this is where I'm going to clip this and stick this on Twitter for later, so people understand. So as we always do this season, All for United are going to be doing our Player of the Season awards, but we're going to do it slightly different to what we thought we were going to do. So essentially, we're going to give everybody a part of All for United. That can be contributors, hosts, anyone who watches, likes the videos, sees us on Twitter, anything. Everyone's going to get 2 votes for 2 players. You can pick whoever you want. We're going to collate all of those things into a finale show at the end of the season. And then we'll obviously pick our winners from there. So everyone's got a say in this. It's not just going to be a panelist of 4 people and that's going to be it. Everyone's going to get a say. So if you want to drop it in the comments now, you can tweet us afterwards. We're going to stick some tweets out over the next few weeks as well. But every new panelist we get on, we're going to ask them the same question for their 2 nominees as well. So that's the topic for today. And that's what we're going to try and discuss in the last kind of 15, 20 minutes. I don't know who anyone's voted for. I'm not going to pick my 2 nominees. I'm just going to jump in and out of the conversation and throw some names out there. You're going to have to wait till the end of the season for mine, unfortunately. But I'll lead it off with yourself, Barry. I don't know quite how to do that. If you want to pick one player, pick one of your nominees. We'll all kind of, John and Andrew just chip in when you want, and then we'll go from there, and then we'll get your official 2 nominees at the end.
Okay, well, I spent a bit of time really thinking this through because obviously this I dropped this into you, didn't I? So why don't we have a chat about player of the season? And then all of a sudden I thought I'm going to have to actually come up with one myself, which is a lot harder to do than you might imagine. I think I've narrowed it down to 4, which isn't bad.
You need to half that.
Yeah. So I kind of thought I can deal with dropping 2 during the conversation. I can probably manage that. But there were some interesting shout outs that I found whilst looking through online. Like, for example, did you know that we have not conceded a goal when Vilda Boarisa has been on the pitch in a league match? Yeah, I didn't know that either. Now, granted, sometimes she only comes on with like 3 minutes to go, so it may not be as impressive as it sounds. And I stopped looking once I realised that she was obviously part of the game against Chelsea where we lost 3-1. But genuinely, that was something that made me go, well done, Vilda. So that was quite interesting. Obviously, we spoke about Zellem and how she's been delivering the ball well. Aoife Mannion, best pass completion rate of any player in the WSL. She has got 89.7% pass completion, and that's the best. Nobody has got a better one than that. And it won't be beaten, I wouldn't imagine. Leah Gorton's dropped herself into 5th place in the scoring rankings now with her 7 goals, thanks to the one against Brighton. So there's been some really impressive things, and I've been talking a lot about shooting. Martha Thomas is one of the best in terms of number of shots per 90 minutes as well. So there were lots of them there that I wanted to give honourable mentions to. And of course, Kirsty Hansen, we love you. But she couldn't quite make the top 4. So my top 4, can I say my top 4, or do you just want me to give you one?
Go on. If you give your 4, because it might be different. So I'm pretty sure there's a couple of names that are going to be reoccurring, but if you want to give your 4, and then hopefully Andrew and John, it might either convince you either way or who knows. But go on, if you give your 4.
Okay, so my 4, Mary Earps. She's conceded 18 goals, I think, in 19 games, 8 clean sheets. She's done pretty good, and she's had some magnificent saves. I think actually the game against Arsenal, where she just had, there was one that we were certain was going in, and when we looked at the replay, she just turned it onto the bar. She's been superb this year. So she's got potential. I think it'd be a fool not to mention Honor. We've had that much of a conversation about her being the best right back. She's been really good, probably the highlight of the defence. And I like the other 2 because that's what the song says. Ella Toone and Leslie Russo. So I'm stuck between those 4 at the moment. But if you wanted me to give you one and to tell you the one that I would definitely put up there as player of the season, it would be either Ella Toone.
I was typing away there. I think the names you've mentioned, I think, are going to be reoccurring. However, it's going to be interesting to see because I think there are going to be some variations of this. When I was thinking earlier, a name you not mentioned, Hayley Ladd, potentially, just to throw into the conversation there. But before we
83.8% pass completion, very good, but not quite Man-esque.
I'm gonna call you Mr. Statman at the end of this. Andrew, I'll come to you before. You don't have to. I mean, you can name your 2 if you've got them, but obviously we'll come back to that at the end. But just to open up the discussion again with yourself, off the back of what Barry said there.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree with the one. Mary Earps would be my first as one of the players of the season. I mean, she's definitely elevated her game this season. You can see she's such a commanding presence inside the box and a leadership. Even when United are on the attack, you can see she's near the halfway line, and you can hear her just shouting instructions to players, "Oh, can be there, be here," and I just think she made some really important saves during games that we could have ended up, drawing even more games or even losing. So I just think, like Barry said, that Arsenal game, that save she made from Miedemite, and then I think there was one in the second half as well. I think she saved with her feet as well. I just think even in the last game against Brighton, I think Brighton were pushing for that equaliser. And I think was it from a corner or Brighton were on the attack and the ball came in. Literally, Earps had got there and save it and see out the time for it. And you can see the dedication she's putting into improving her game. And obviously, you saw from the interviews last month before the Old Trafford game, speaking with David De Gea as well. So, talking to each other about each other's games as well. And obviously the form she's had this season has resulted in becoming England's number one. So I think from what I was reading, she was a bit surprised when she got a call up. So she said, look, I'm making the most of it now. So, and I expect her to be chosen as the number one for the Euros as well. So I can, definitely agree on Mary Earps. The second, this is where I've had a bit. I could choose the likes of Russo even you just said Hayley Ladd, but I'm actually going to go for Leah Galton. I just think you can see the improvement she's made over the season. I mean, at the start of the season, I just think she seemed to be lacking confidence, and I don't know whether she didn't seem to be enjoying it as much. But in the last few months, she's just come on leaps and bounds. She's been providing the assist and even some crucial goals, like the last game against Brighton as well. So if she hadn't scored, then would have been talking about a draw against Brighton. But I was going to say Leah Galton would be my second choice. I just think the season she's had and how much she's progressed under Skin as well. So I can see even more big things for her next season as well. So those would be my two choices for the players of the season.
Yeah, and Paul's agreeing with you there on Leah. Regular appearances and being our left wing warrior there. It's hard to disagree.
I was also going to say in her partnership with Hannah Blundell as well. It seems to be almost like telepathic. Blundell will get forward and Leah Galton will get back to help out as well. So they all seem to be on the same wavelength of each other. So it's good to see we got that left hand side really sorted now as well.
Yeah, 100%. Go on, John. If you want to
add to, then I'm gonna go for Alessia. I think she's obviously our top scorer. It's not to say she's been perfect in every game, but for me, I think she has been consistent throughout the season, and she's never really had a dry spell in front of goals. She's got us some really important goals this season, one at Tottenham, the winner against Arsenal, the league game against Arsenal, the 1-1, and she got the 2 against Everton at Old Trafford. For me, she has been very impressive throughout the season. Like I say, consistent form. I think certain players like Leah and Katie Zellum, I think started the season slowly and didn't quite hit it straight away, but as the season has gone on, have improved, and that's why I would say Alessia has been a consistent performer for me. So I will put her first, and for me, I loved Aoife Mannion, but she would have been in my top 2 if she hadn't got injured in February. I think she was on that trajectory. But I think I'm going to put a vote for Hayley Ladd, actually. I think when she plays in the midfield, I think she's a miss when she's not in there. For me, when we started that good run of games, December, January, she was an important part of the midfield. I know she got some important goals for us during that run as well. And I consider Ella as well, but for me, the 2 I go for is Russo and Ladd.
Interesting. This is why I like this, because there's going to be different names thrown in all over the place. Because obviously, like I said, me, John, Benny, and Matt will wait until the end of the season for ours, but I'm stuck with 4 currently. And it's actually a different 4 to Barry's at the moment. Barra, swing it around to yourself then, because obviously you've still got to halve yours. I don't know anything that the guys have said has swayed your decision in any way, or is there a new name that maybe comes into it?
Well, I sat here and I played with you a little bit because I was really only struggling with 1 out of 3, which was Earps, Honor, and Toon, because I already knew that Russo was going to be my number 1. I love her. I think she's brilliant. She's just everything about her work rate, her effort. She is going to be an absolute superstar. She's going to lead the line for England. She's going to lead the line for United. And like the Chelsea fans get excited over Kerr, like the Arsenal fans get excited over Miedema, I think the United fans really should be excited over the fact that we've got a Russo, because, she's absolutely brilliant. That goal against Spurs, superb. She can dribble with it. She can cross it. She can head it. She's just going to be the complete superstar. So, yeah, everything I see about her at the moment, 100% tells me that she's the number 1. So, yeah, that's me. Alessia Russo and Ella Toon. But I did nearly go for Hansen just for somebody different.
I was going to say, just on that then, before we wrap up, is there anyone that maybe, because I personally think that most people, when we get these polls back, like I said, we're going to do a few shows or end a few shows like this over the next kind of few weeks or so. Obviously, you get loads of people's opinions. Is there anyone that maybe we've not mentioned that you think could stake a claim? Is there anyone that anyone thinks that could be in there? Martha Thomas, maybe? I don't know whether she's had a full season maybe at the top.
Well, I think the Mannion Turner partnership was quite good, during the December-January period, and obviously Turner got injured. I thought she was having a good season up until that point. So, yeah, maybe her you could throw in.
Yeah, it's a fair shout. And Paul, just on your comments there, so you've gone with Galton and Russo. I'm adding those to the tally now, if I can find my little trusty spreadsheet. So your votes will go in as well. Like I said earlier, everyone's vote. We're going to end a few shows like this over the next kind of few weeks and get everyone's votes and add it all together, just so it's a fair representation of who all for United wants as their player of the season. We'll do a top 3 once the season has finished. But yeah, I can't think that there's going to be too many more. Mannion's going to be the one. I think that I agree with what everyone said. It's going to be unfortunate for her that she misses out because of.
I was thinking of one, but it's a shame that they didn't come at the start of the season. I'm thinking Diane Caldwell, but I mean, how she's been playing recently. I was just thinking if she'd have been there at the start of the season, I'm thinking she could have been, there for the player of the season. Just she's only had so many months with us, but I mean, she's been so consistent since coming in as well, and being the heart of our defence. So I feel like she might just slightly miss out on being player of the season. But yeah, one of our consistent performers there since coming in.
I think you are going to get a lot of people that would consider those people. You've got Mannion, Blundell, possibly even Katie Zellum. You guys have mentioned Galton and Ladd. So I think there's lots of them. But I just want to throw something out there because we don't have to talk about it now. But I feel I need to drop it because there's been a lot of chat about this Honor Batcher situation. And I just wanted to throw something out there. Kirsty Hansen at the moment does 3.2 tackles every 90 minutes, roughly. All right. And Honor Batcher has got 3.91 tackles per 90 minutes. The reason why I throw that out there is because the person that has got the most was Ashley Neville. And people were getting really upset about the fact that she's not coming anymore. So just really wanted to throw that one out there for anybody who might be watching, that maybe she's not as bad as I thought she was when I just saw her on her backside against Spurs.
It's interesting. If anyone saw today, yeah, she signed a new contract. I can't remember how long it's for. I think 2025. I think.
Yeah, I think it's about 3 years. I think.
Yeah, it was a few years, wasn't it? It was
a long. She was about 28. That was I think.
So yeah, and I actually remember the show we did last Friday, Barry. There was a lot of negative reaction to us being even linked with her. I didn't know where I kind of sat with her. I've not seen enough of her to make a full judgment. But it is interesting when you hear stats like that. And I actually looked at the stat beforehand. It's not even just in that sense. You know, you're looking at all over. You know, there wasn't too much in them. So yeah, potentially that means either we're looking elsewhere if Honor does go, or we're keeping hold of her potentially.
It does. Just to make one final point, it does show that with our differenes in certain players, it does demonstrate that we've done well as a team. That there are so many contenders for the play this season, so it's not a straight and obvious choice. And I think you'd say there's hardly any players, if any, where you'd be like this season, I would have expected more from them. You know, all of them have performed to a standard which you would expect. So, you know, it's interesting how we all have different opinions on our favourite players.
100%. This conversation is gonna go on. Go on, Barry.
I was going to say I will only change my mind depending on who scores the winning goal against Chelsea.
Very so.
It better be, otherwise I might have to change your mind.
If anyone does want to change, obviously their nominations, these aren't obviously locked in. So I appreciate I'm putting these guys under pressure here, obviously live on show. So if if you three do want to change at some point, just drop me a message. Like I said, if people are watching, there's going to be some tweets about this in the next kind of few weeks or so. We'll stick a few out and keep people updated. We're not going to put actual names out there as to who's winning. We'll just maybe put some graphs out there and just see what the percentage is like. But I have a feeling, just based off today's conversation, that I think Russo might run away with this a little bit. Potentially. There's a few new shots there, but that's what it's all about. It's all about opinions, and it'll be interesting to see when we get to the end of the season where people stack up. So yeah, it's going to be good. But I agree with what John said as well. The fact that we've got so many names in this conversation shows what a good season we've had. You know, if we were just sat here going, "Oh, there's only one or two players," I think we can pick from. It shows that we've not actually had a good season. But we're talking about. I'm just looking there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 names mentioned already between four nominees between you three and Paul in the comments as well. So that's great to see already. We'll wrap it up there. It's slightly shorter. Too many S's. Shorter show than usual. That serves me right for trying to wrap that up quickly. Yeah,
you were trying to do your Sean Connery impression, weren't you?
I'm not going to say that again. Just because it's bank holiday and it's still light outside and sunny out, so everyone can get the barbecues on and things like that. So we're going to wrap up a little bit early today. Benny and Matt will be back tomorrow. Looking ahead, there's obviously the Devs game on Sunday. The Devs can wrap up the Northern Division on Sunday. So Benny and Matt will be discussing all things Devs related tomorrow. And we'll be back on Monday as well to go through everything from the weekend and any news that may crop up in between then. So thanks for these guys coming on, spending their bank holiday Friday evenings with myself. They're probably going to need a drink after that. But yes, we'll see you guys very soon.
Happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter.